Welcome everyone. Today we're talking about unlocking efficiency with CR Institute's new feature, assigned programs, and we are so excited to share this today. I'm Heather Morton. I'm the director of the organizational development team for CR Institute. I'm also a BCBA, and I'm really excited to tell you all about this new feature and show you guys around today. Here's our agenda. So we're going to go over assigned programs. What does that even mean? We're going to do a fun demo, and then we will have time for Q&A. So assigned programs, that's what we're going to focus on today. Assigned programs is our newest feature released for CR Institute. So everything I'm showing you today is embedded into the LMS system with CR Institute. The feature that we have for you guys is really designed on efficiency in your training program. So whether you're onboarding or providing continuous training for existing staff, assigned programs is exactly what you need for that. So what it gives you, the benefits that are included with this, the freedom to create customized learning paths, set up due dates, and keep your learners firmly on track with that training plan that you need them to follow. You can track those due dates and completion for all learners with easy to use reporting. Ability to set up some custom learner notifications. This is the first time you guys are going, I'm so sorry. This is the first time you guys are going to be able to actually set up learner notifications with this feature. It's only going to be available for learning paths. But what's really cool about it is that you can then send out these special reminders directly to your staff of essential information that you might want them to know. Maybe you want to send them a reminder of how much time they have left to complete that learning path, different things like that. You're going to be able to set those if you'd like. And then lastly, which is something that I know I'm very excited about, but you guys are going to be able to directly assign individual content and learning path to individuals. You can also do bulk enrollment for learners in learning paths that your organization has created. So I'm going to take you through all of that today. So let's hop on over to our demo, and I'm going to stop sharing for just 1 second here. All right, so now we're back over here in Institute. I'm logged into an admin account. So there will be certain admin permissions that are available with this new feature. Once those permissions have been added, which may have already been added for some of you, this new assigned programs feature is available to anyone who's on our newest package, which is clinical competency and compliance package. If you have that, you may already have this new setting manager permission here that is specifically for assigned programs. You'll see them here. If not, then that's something that we can connect you with your account manager and get you set up on that if you would like to have it. Okay, so what we're going to see here is I'm going to actually hop on over into my content. Anyone with this feature now has the ability to add learning paths. So prior to us adding assigned programs, you'd only see courses, video templates, article templates, and micro courses, but you now have the ability to add your own learning path. When we set this up, what is very cool is that you get the ability to add a due date to that learning path. The other thing that is going to be very cool is that you can add in your own content that you're creating with your organization, or you can also use our content. So it can be a hybrid of the two, really nice way to customize any training and really make things efficient when you're doing onboarding or continued training for any of your staff. When I'm setting up those due dates, I can do a fixed due date or I can do a rolling due date. I think in most cases, we'll probably use rolling due dates, right? We can set that date 60 days out, or maybe it's the trainings that need to be completed within the first 30 days of being hired. There's you can change that to be whatever you want. Now, if I have a learner who has already had access to a learning path that I built and I didn't put a due date on it, and then I go back and add a due date, that due date will not show for a learner who's already previously started my learning path, but the due date will go forward for anyone who's new that I put into or have given access to this learning path. So just keep that in mind. You might want to set those up in the initial just to make sure everyone gets it. What I can do though is I can come back and change it. So maybe I decide, 30 days is not actually what I want to do. Maybe I want to do it at 28 days. I can come in and change it. Anyone who has that assigned to them, that due date will change and reflect for them. Okay, so I'm going to put my due date there. Now I can start building my learning path. So I'm going to add a milestone name. So this is going to be week one trainings for my staff that they need to complete. I can then add in my content and I can say everyone needs to do HIPAA. And what I'm going to see here are trainings that Central Reach Institute gives me. I'm also going to see trainings that I have built. I can then decide, is that training required? Is there any additional information I need my staff to have? And I can add that all here. So I'm going to do some mandated reporter training because I know my staff need that as well. Then for week 2, my due date here is really for the entire learning. So I cannot put a due date on an individual course at this point. It is for the entire learning path. But what I'm going to do here for week 2 is I'm going to do something really cool. And I'm going to say, don't set this to release until 7 days after that learning path has been started. So there are some other little settings I can put in place just to make sure people are staying in track the way that I want them to. So they're not working ahead. Maybe I want them to meet together, make sure some other things have been covered in person before they go on to other trainings in the Institute. So I will set that up as well. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put some other trainings in here that I want my staff to take. So I'm going to do some diversity courses because that is very important to my organization to make sure that my staff are going through those. So I'm going to add that in here. So now, once I have this all set up the way I want, I can still do my design information here. I can set my completion criteria. I can add certificates to this. If you've ever had a learning set up by the Sierra Institute team, the only difference here is that you get to do it yourself now, which is so exciting. You can come and make those updates and changes. You will see that you can add your certificate just like we have been doing for you. The best part here is just that you can do it all on your own. We can set up some enrollment information if there's certain days you want that learning path to be accessed, things like that, okay? Now, my learner notifications box now shows here for me, and I can go ahead and add a learner notification. So I'm going to let these learners know that after they have started the content, I'm going to send it 2 days after they started. And then this is exclusion criteria. So I can also set exclusion criteria. So maybe if they've already completed learning path, I don't want it to send to them, but I'm going to send them a welcome email. And what to expect for week 2. And then I can use some of these other substitution tags here. So if I wanted to have, first name of the learner in the email, different things like that. If I wanted to reiterate that due date, I can put that in here as well. I can also add a button or a URL. I can send a test email. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. This is all ready to go for my learner. Now I have this brand new learning path and I'm ready to go ahead and give this out to my learners. There's a couple ways I could do that. One, I could go to groups and I could add it to a group, just like you guys are accustomed to. I could add this learning path to my new employee onboarding group here, and I could make sure that they have access to it. This is only giving them access. This is not assigning it to them, okay? So this is only giving them access, but I could do that here. I could then also go to my email communications here, and I can email everyone in that employee onboarding group to let them know that learning path is now available to them here, right? I could email everyone in that group and say, hey, this new learning path is available. Please go in and start it. But when we're doing onboarding, it might be really nice if we can assign a particular learning path to a learner or to a group of learners. So that's what we're going to do today, and that's part of this new feature. I'm going to show it to you. So Dave Stevens, for example, I want him to have access to this new learning path. So all I need to do is go down here to his learning path, and I click that and click add content, and this has now been provisioned to Dave Stevens' account. Also, you may have noticed that up here under content to add, you can also add specific pieces of content for learners now. This is brand new. In the past, you could not individually assign content. So we're really excited for this to be available to you guys now. So I could come in here and say, you know what, I want to individually provision HIPAA to this particular learner. I can then add that content for them. It's going to show anything in our library that we have given to you, as well as content that you have developed yourself. Okay. So now that Dave has been provisioned that content, I will be able to go in and actually look at the due date for that content. I'm going to refresh here because it was a little, there we go. So I have his access here. I'm just going to make sure that that did in fact save for me for the learning path. I see it here. The other cool thing is I can remove it. So if I decide, you know what, Dave, I don't want you to have any of this content, I can go in and remove it. I can change the status. Right now, not started means he's enrolled in that content. So from a reporting standpoint, I can also go and check how many of my learners are in this not started status, which means they've enrolled in something, but they haven't actually started that content. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to impersonate Dave, and let's take a look and see what his dashboard looks like. Oh, it's under a learning path here. My apologies. So you'll see there are some other trainings I haven't given to Dave that he is overdue. Naughty, naughty. So that means that it turns red, and I can clearly see on my learner dashboard that I am overdue on this. You're also going to be able to see that from the reporting side as well. So for this new one that I just gave him, though, it is due September 26th because we gave it 28 days to be due. Can go in and start this learning path. It will then show up in reporting as a started learning path rather than not started. So I know that that learner has actually gone ahead and actually started the content that I enrolled them in. So this is what it's going to look like from the learner side. Super cool. Now, it may be too much, and we may not want to actually enroll every single learner individually. So something else that's really cool is if you already use this feature where you do a bulk import for your learners, you're actually going to be able to put it here as well. And you can enroll your learners using that CSV form. So with the CSV form, if you're not familiar, you put in the first name, the last name, and the email address of your learners. And then there is a column for content status on there. You're going to put not started in that content status. Not to worry, we have all the instructions on how to do this in a course for you, so you don't have to memorize any of these steps, but that is available. So what I would do is I'd upload that and I would say it's not started. I would say this is for all of my onboarding group here, employee onboarding, and then my learning will show here. Now, there is a caveat here on the previous when I'm doing it individually. I will see learning paths that CR Institute has given and built for us, as well as learning paths I have built as an organization. When you are doing a bulk import, the only thing you can bulk assign are learning paths that your organization has created. So you see I have much less learning paths available here, and that's because it's only those that my org has created. When I do this, anyone who's in this group is going to get invited to the system, and they will have this learning path already in the enrollment status. So when they log in, it will show my learning. It's going to show learning path right there at the top, which I know has been a pain point. It's going to be really nice to have that available there. So it brings that content that you really want them to focus on to the top. Anything else that's available to them that they can take at their leisure is available at the bottom for them there. So that is a very exciting piece. It's not showing me next step because I didn't put a file in, but usually I click next step and I would invite my learners just like I normally do. Now let's go back to that reporting side. So what's really cool about reporting is we can look at this report from different ways. I can look under Explore. I might go to learning paths to see what are the actions with a particular learning path. I could pull in all learning paths. I could pull in certain learning paths. I can now pull in due dates. So I want to know the due date for my learning path. I'm going to pull in the date here. and I'm going to have it run. When I do that, I'm going to see my learner. I'm going to see when a learning path was due. Now, there may not be a due date on the learning path. If that's the case, it's going to show up null, but I can then see when it is due. I can also look at overdue. Overdue, sorry, is on my it's past due date. It might be on my other report. I apologize. But I will be able to pull in due date on this. I can pull in just certain learning paths. I can pull in the past 7 days. I can pull in a lot of information on this report. I can then also save this report to my dashboard. So I'm not pulling it every time. This could be my due date report. Okay, and I'm going to save that. I have a new assigned programs dashboard. I'm going to save this report to that. So then every time I come in, I can just go to that dashboard. I don't have to rebuild it each time. Okay. So there is a lot of data that you can pull in from there. I will show you the other learning path reporting under content, which will give you that days overdue, which is also really nice to look at. And you can look at it from a actual course perspective. So I'm actually going to pull up another course that a learning path rather, that I built before, because I want to look at the reporting for this one, because this will actually show me anyone who's overdue. So when I look here, I'm looking at my learners, and I'm going to say is anytime. It's going to take a second to load just because it is a good bit of information that pulls into this report. And I should have data in this one. There it is. It's like, I thought there was some in here. So I have a couple learners here where I can see that a manager enrolled this learner in this learning path. This learning path is not complete. I can see the due date. I can see if the completed days late are on here. So I can look at those days that it's overdue. I can look at the number of completed courses, the number of required courses in here. So therefore their progress across those required courses. This reporting actually used to just tell us like number of courses and completion status of all the courses. And it didn't individualize those that are required. So it's really nice to be able to see the ones that are required, because maybe you have some elective ones in there, but you want to make sure that they're 100% done with everything that's actually required in that learning path. So we can see this here. We can see the progress across that. I can see that this learner down here hasn't done any of the courses. And then down below, I can actually see what courses have been started and completed or not enrolled in by the learners. So I can really get that individual status as well, with the due date being really, really helpful to have right here in front of us to see what they're doing. These reports can be downloaded, so you can look at those in a CSV format. So it just depends on how you want to look at it. You can look at it from the actual learning path reporting, or you can also look at it by building custom reports on our reporting hub over here. So there are various ways to kind of look at it, just depending on which reports you're interested in, how many learners you're kind of looking at, will kind of vary how people tend to look at those. But it is nice to have that option to be able to build your own custom reports here. You can see certificates that have been granted and things like that, but really being able to pull in those due dates so you can track and monitor. And remember, I can also put those learner notifications on, so I can send them reminders that their course is overdue. I can send them reminders that their course is coming up to be due, things like that, which makes it really nice to be able to share that with them. So that is our assigned programs we're really excited to share with you today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to let you guys have a minute or so here to fill in any questions that you have. So please go ahead, generate any questions. You can type those right in for us, and we'll start answering those. While you guys are putting your questions in, I'm actually going to go ahead and show you and talk about CR Unite really quick, if you guys don't mind. So CR Institute, I'm excited to go to CR Unite this year. I'm actually going to be hosting a full workshop on how to set all these things up in your account, how to build content, how to build those custom reports that are useful for you. The all-inclusive passes are almost gone, so get yours if you plan to attend. We really want to see you all there. This pass is tremendous value, so go ahead and scan this QR code if you're interested. We will be there over my birthday, so I'm sure we'll have some birthday fun. You guys join in and see me and come to my workshop on Institute. All right, I'm going to hop over to questions, but I'm also going to leave this page up just so you guys can scan that code for CR Unite as well. All right. So assigned programs, a free service. So assigned programs is part of our newest package with um, our clinical competency and compliance package. So it really depends on which package you're on, if it's included or if your organization will need to upgrade to that. So definitely encourage everyone to reach out to your account manager and they can get you more information on that. Good question. Christy has a question. Does this mean that we can edit current learning paths that we have created for our organization? No. So current learning paths that were created, they were created by my team, by the CR Institute team, which means they're not editable in your portal. What we are encouraging orgs to do who have this new functionality is recreate those learning paths so that you can edit them, you can control them, you can put in those due dates. So we do encourage you, go ahead, recreate those, provision them out once, and we can archive the old ones. You can message support to archive them. We'll archive any old ones that we had developed for you. That way they'll start on the new one that you have full control over. Great question, Christy. Ashley, if we create an initial onboarding learning path, can we set certain courses in the learning path to be completed annually? Yes, absolutely. So great question. You set up your individual courses to have any sort of settings on them that you might want. So that includes setting them to auto renew each year. Now, if it's one of the CR Institute courses, definitely check with us if those are already set up to be taken annually. But if it's a course that you're creating for your organization, you can put all those settings on there. When it's put in the learning path, it will follow that same sort of flow of allowing the learners to do that annually. Chelsea, what is the best way to see the overdue learners from the reporting side under the library? So the best way to see the overdue learners is to set up that reporting side that we were in for the custom reporting. I believe there is an overdue criteria. I think I wasn't putting in the correct name when I was searching for that, so my apologies there. All of this is covered more in depth in the implementation training. We're still getting used to some of the settings. But I do believe it is there, and we'll make sure to get that information in our training if it's not already there, but you should be able to set it up in that same report I was setting up in the library. You mentioned that you can upload your own content. I did not catch how to do this when creating the learning path. So yes, that will be a separate kind of course you can go through or a separate meeting with your CSL, but essentially you would add a piece of content. There's a course you can add or a mini course. You want to set that up first and then build the learning path with that content in it that you want. So there is a course in Institute called Course Builder. It will take you through those steps, but you can also reach out to your CSL or your account manager and they can get you more information on how to set up those courses. Can I individualize those due dates for each learner? No. So the due dates are specific to the learning path. So you would have to have separate learning paths for that to have different due dates. Now, if you do a rolling due date, that's where if I onboard someone this month, they have 28 days. If I onboard somebody else next month, that person also still has 28 days. So that is recommended. Can I add due dates for courses like the 40-hour RBT course? Good question. So you would have to create your own 40-hour RBT course or use ours to build your own with our courses. The 40-hour RBT course soon will have 180 days on it, and that will kind of be set based on the BACB recommendations. Melissa, is there an expiration feature for LearnPass? We have annual trainings and the same course needs to be taken every year. So this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier. You can set up a learning path to renew each year. You can also set up individual courses to renew each year. So just depending on what you need to do there, those settings are available. Who has access in the company for the Institute page? So this is going to depend on the agency. I would check with your agency to see who may have access to the Institute for more information on that. Tyler, for example, if I'm assigning the 40-hour course to onboarding staff at different times, can I set a 2-week deadline every time I assign it? So that's why you're going to put that rolling due date. So I will put 14 days in for my rolling deadline. So when you are assigning it, every time the learner is going to have 2 weeks. Amanda, if we were to set our own learning paths for RBT modules or other edited paths, would the instructor for the cert remain the same? So it depends. As long as you're using, so if you're using our courses for 40-hour, as long as all of our courses are in there, you would be able to have the instructor remain the same. But we would have to verify that and help with the cert in order for us to put our credentials on your cert. Otherwise, you would need to put your own credentials on there. But we would have to verify it on our end to make sure everything is available in the course that needs to be there. Is the course builder a separate feature and cost, or is it part of the package that includes the assigned feature? Nope, it's part of the package that includes the new assigned programs feature. So you'd be able to fully build content. The other thing that is included in that package is Knowledge Builder. If you haven't heard about Knowledge Builder, definitely let us know after. We can give you more information on that as well, but that is our new prep product that was released last year. And so it does also come with Knowledge Builder, which is test prep for your BCBAs, BCABAs. So it will come with that as well. Christy, I'm hoping to get the entire company on the same training schedule. If I send out a learning path with modules that haven't reached annual renewal just yet, can they still complete them if they are in that assigned group? So we would want to work through this, Christy. You'd probably want to put a fixed due date on those learning paths, but you'd have to take a look first where learners were already at in that status when it comes to renewal. Sometimes getting everyone on a set schedule when you're hiring can be really tricky. So it's definitely something I would say, let's take that offline to kind of discuss that actual use case. You mentioned a course for this feature. Can that be found in the content if we have access? Yeah, you can actually see it even if you don't have access. It's in our LMS implementation course. And it will have a section in there on assigned programs, so you can watch that and get more details on how it works. Yes, Patrick, the 40-hour RBT course will soon have a set 180 days due date as the default for the learning path from CR Institute. That way it's much easier to identify anyone who's over that 180 days. Awesome, you guys had good questions today. All right, so after this wraps, remember we're gonna be sending you the recording in a couple of days. We really, really love your feedback and appreciate your feedback on these webinars. So please take a few seconds to answer 4 really quick questions that we're going to give you in a survey as this meeting ends. It's very helpful for our teams to gather that information so we can continue to provide you guys the best webinars possible.